late last week, we got the confirmation that Venom has officially found its Eddie Brock, and it's none other than Tom Hardy. Now, Sony, I don't understand how you can go from making me hate you 1 second to making me love you the other second, but you're doing it every chance you get, so it's...
Does every movie need Tom Hardy to be attached at some point these days?
But it's...
like, seriously, what hasn't he been casting for at least...
I mean, a Marvel movie isn't been casting.
Well, he is now casting a Marvel movie.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but now, I mean, MCU,
well,
I mean, Marvel Cinematic.
Oh, this could very well still be the MCU. That no one said otherwise.
I mean,
no one has officially said it's not going to be in the MCU.
Didn't they say that it's officially like...
The director, was it John Watts who's doing Homecoming?
Yeah.
He has said he said it's not quote connected, but
there's no. It was also,
that doesn't mean it can't be connected. No.
I mean, I hope it does, but I remember like people were all over this one video of this lady. I think it was Amy Pascal from Sony saying that like, yeah, it's not going to be connected, like Homecoming to this future Spider-Man related movies.
Yeah.
I hope it is. That'd be cool. Tom Hardy and Tom Holland.
The thing is, like,
Tom's.
Okay, I'm a really big fan of Tom Hardy. Like, I think he's a phenomenal actor. Ever since he was Shinzon in Star Trek Nemesis, I've been a fan of him. And, you know, that goes way back when...
Nobody ever remembers that.
I know, and that's like the first time I saw him. But here's the thing. Looking at his filmography, he's always a supporting character unless it's something like Mad Max. So...
Legend.
A lot of British films, he was the star. Like, have you seen Bronson?
I've seen those, but they're always like the smaller. They're not like the big Hollywood push movies. Like, you know, like, oh my god. Like,
but then he's a British actor, so you've got to imagine he was a star in Britain for a lot longer than he has been across the pond.
Yeah, I feel I get the point you're trying to say, but I feel like he's starting. I mean, he just did I think he's doing or just did a show Taboo, like where he's the star. I feel like Tom has a good point of how he was a bigger star overseas, where maybe he was the main actor and here he was more supporting, but now here you're gonna start to see him be more of the main star.
He did a film called Legend, which is about like two English gangsters in London. He played both the twins.
Oh yeah, the Craig twins.
So like he can carry him.
Oh, I have no doubts. Like, he's in my top like 10 favorite actors. The thing is, like, when I look at the American audience, you know, because you got to gauge it by that crap now. You know, how well do they know him? And I talked to some of my friends. I was like, hey, what do you guys think about Tom Hardy? They're like, oh, Mad Max, Bane, guy from Revenant, and I was like, interesting, because
Warrior,
right? And it's like, I know these movies he's in because I watched them all, but to me it's like, I like the casting because he's not that big AAA name, and that's what gets me excited. Like, my fear was like, they go out there and they go, all right, Eddie Brock, we need someone to sell this movie who's a big name. Get Tom Cruise or someone. And I'm like, but I love Tom Cruise, but I don't need that shit, right? So I'm glad they got an actor who's really good at acting, but who still hasn't had that major breakout series that's all around him. And Mad Max, I don't think is going to get a sequel because it doesn't seem like it, even though it should.
I don't think the director's going to live long enough to finish the sequel, even if he starts production tomorrow.
So,
because it takes him like 15 years to make a Mad Max movie. Like, how long did he spend doing the last one?
That's true. So I'm really excited. Tom Hardy as Venom, I think, is a great choice. I think he's going to be a great Eddie Brock. This literally flipped my optimism on this movie. I was like, well, at first I'm like cautiously optimistic, but then Tom Hardy's attached. I'm like, well, now I'm really hopeful. So it's...
Well, they've also got the Zombieland character.
Yeah.
So.
You know, I like that you brought up someone like Tom Cruise, and you know, if they had said his name, I was like, well, Tom Cruise is going way too much. Like, he's got Mission Impossible. He's got the Jack Reacher series. He's got the Mummy, like Universal Monsters thing. He is like the big AAA guy that I feel Tom Hardy will be one day, even if it's not now. I feel like in the near future he will be that guy that's kind of in all the action movies. I mean,
he's got a different appeal to Tom Cruise, though. I can't see Tom Hardy. I mean, he probably could do a few romantic comedies, but not the way that Tom Cruise does, like romantic.
I mean, the thing I'm saying is like he's gonna be that main guy in blockbusters in probably 5 years or something like that. Right now, Armin does make a point where he is more the supporting actor, but you know, it's only inevitable, or it's a matter of time that he is gonna be that guy, because people do love him. Like he is one of those guys that like he's in a movie, you might be like, oh man, I want to check it out, and ladies love him too. So it's
I
a
can
matter
just
of time,
see his audition tape though. Someone shot him like taking down that dude who stole a bicycle, and they're like, yes, that's Eddie Brock right there.
It's probably that, and he's the only person who can say cunt, and everyone loves it. He says that in a certain way. It's just kind of like, oh, I love how you say the word.
I think people from the UK say it a certain way, so it's like,
No, he said it in a specific way. Like, yes, we say it differently to you, but there's something about the way he says it.
You can say it affectionately. For some reason, Tom Hardy has a weird way. It's almost charming when he says it.
Yeah.
When we say it, it's kind of just like ghetto and very like, damn, you want to fight, bro? Like,
yeah, see, over here, it's basically a way of saying hi.
But Americans even, like, I was told that even the word twat in America is really bad. But over here, it's like 8-year-old kids call each other twats on the school ground. Like, it's nothing. It's like, oh, you spilt your drink.
Dude, in America,
well, I mean,
it's really
America 2017, everything is offensive. So,
I'd argue. I mean, I wouldn't argue, but I would say a word that's similar that I guess isn't as offensive. I would say, and I feel like a lot of people use it now, and not in a bad way, is bitch. Like people would be like, "Hey, what's up, bitch?"
Really?
Like it's not as bad. I think to a guy at least.
If you say it to a friend, like come here or something, but it's like your guy friend. It's like you're making fun of them.
I mean, it's not as. I don't think it's as bad.
I mean, I'm hopeful that maybe because Tom Hardy can say swear words, people are like, yeah, it's accepting. Make this rated R. I mean, it's.
Well, apparently they do.
It has to be. I mean, the movie is like what 15, 16 months away, which means they got to finish it within 14 months, which means it's probably a cheaper movie because this is. There's no Marvel like Studios interference from this, from what we know. It's a Sony standalone movie, and their typical turnaround time used to be 2.5 years on a movie, which is why The Amazing Spider-Man 2, like when that movie was shooting, Marvel literally shot and put out like 3 movies, and it was still like in post-production. It's like, what is happening with this? So I definitely think they're doing the cheaper route and darker and stylized is the key word they're going to use. But I'm okay with that. I'm honestly 100% okay with that because I think that can work for Venom.
It was weird with The Amazing Spider-Man 2, though, because there was, like, barely any negativity surrounding it, especially when the first trailers came out and, like, people saw that the tone had shifted a bit. It was less sort of dark and gritty. Like, the colour was back. Like, I remember going to see that film and being so hyped for it, even though I'd heard it was going to be a mess.
The hype for Amazing Spider-Man 2, from the first set photo of that new suit to the release of the movie, was the most hyped thing ever. Like, more so than any other movie. And then after release, it was like, oh. Which I'm hoping.
I still like the trailers. I just don't think they needed the beginning scene, middle scene, and literally the last shot of the movie to be in the trailer.
I mean, I made that April Fool's video saying Andrew Garfield back as in Venom film franchise, yada yada, and it was like, ha ha. But then you start thinking about that. They can't do Venom without Spider-Man. I feel like, and I don't.
I think you can.
They're probably gonna try.
Bad. It won't be as good as it should, but you can do it.
How do you pull that off?
But if they do that and it does look bad, I'm just not going to pay to see it. So
I mean, don't you just like, oh, something fell from the sky, and it's like.
But here's the thing: they own Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Now. Like Tom Holland is Sony. They can just put him in. Like, if they really needed Spider-Man, just put Tom Holland in.
I think that would mess up stuff so bad, though, because it's like, there's Spider-Man's Tom Holland, but then they never mention the symbiote or him funny. You're like, what?
I mean, they never mention like Aldrich Killian. No, they don't mention what's it called, Malekith. That's the problem. It can be quite.
Like, I'm honestly one of the people that's in the belief if they're gonna have a Spider-Man in this, bring back Garfield. Just do it.
I don't think he
wants to, but
he was burnt by Sony. Like, if you heard that interview he did with, like, it was him and Amy Adams. Like, he said, like, doing the Amazing Spider-Man, like, his heart, like, because he loves the character so much.
I think that could be the course correct, because he is a good actor. I mean, Hacksaw Ridge showed, and he has, like, a attraction now to his name where people will want that. I think, like any studio, if you're smart enough, you will bury the hatchet. And look, Sony buried a hatchet with Disney and is sharing a character. So I think getting Garfield back wouldn't be a problem at all. They just go, listen, you're already getting paid to not be in these movies because we nullified a contract. How about we'll just pay you more? Like, it's...
Yeah, but it depends what he wants more. Does he want more money? Does he want that Oscar he's trying to go for?
But he also seemed really attached to the character. So if he like gets offered the part and like he looks at the script and it's like, this is just more Sony bollocks. Like, this isn't connected to the MCU and it's just them doing the same old shit. He might just decide that for his integrity that he won't do it, and it won't matter how much money they offer.
That's true.
Because he was genuinely a fan of the character, and I think he was incredibly pissed off with the way that ended, and I'm
pissed off the way that ended because I want to see it. I want to see that story continue in that world and what they were building up. But you know, it's
the Sinister Six stuff I could have left behind. To be honest.
See, I'd rather have what we got.
Oh no, totally. But I'm like, I wish they would just wrap up that story in some way, like a comic or something. Just I want to see what their ultimate idea. I mean, for all of God, there was a Norman Osborn head in a jar. I want resolution to that shit.
I mean, you remember Mark Webb tweeted from the set that photo that he had the symbiote on the set in the Oscorp stuff, but that was never seen in the movie, even in the Sinister Six stuff. So even Venom was set up, but just cut from
That's
the
what I'm
film
saying.
entirely.
Like, what if this movie was to spin off from that? I mean, I would go see it. It's the thing is, you can spin off. Hell, let's just sidetrack to Logan. It's a sequel to a movie I absolutely hate. Actually, a bunch of sequels I hate in the X-Men universe. Yet I still love that movie. So clearly that movie wasn't damaged by, like 5 terrible movies in the X-Men universe. So you can...
Yeah, but it was Hugh
you
Jackman.
can always reconfigure a broken franchise and fix it. So it's...
Yeah, but it's 2 different fixes with it's not really a comparable situation between Logan and the X-Men movies and TASM 2 and the Spider-Man movie.
No. Because, I mean, Hugh Jackman became a star off playing Wolverine, whereas Andrew Garfield, it boosted his name recognition for a little while. And I mean, The Social Network did to a certain extent as well, but it's not the same thing. He wasn't like an overnight star. Suddenly everybody wanted a piece of Andrew Garfield. Maybe now after Hacksaw Ridge. I don't know. I don't think anyone... I would not be interested in seeing another film in what I consider to be a dead series.
Yeah.
It's over. Just let it be. I would be up for seeing Andrew Garfield voice Spider-Man in one of the animated movies or something, but other than that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're definitely going to be talking more about Venom in the foreseeable future because that movie is fast-tracked, literally, so they're going to be starting production literally maybe weeks from now, if not a couple months at most. So I'm hyped. We'll get back to Venom when the time calls.